Bob McGinn from The Athletic, who of course has covered the Packers for years. According to the sources, Aaron Rodgers mocked Brian Gutekunst in group chats with teammates in Green Bay, referring to him as Jerry Krause. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers warned prospective free agents that he doesn't expect to be in Green Bay in 2021. If, for some reason, he was to retire, he would be out $44.5 million. So Aaron Rodgers is doing everything he can to get traded because he doesn't want to have to retire if that's the route only route he can go in order to get out of Green Bay. Here's Brett Favre talking about Aaron Rodgers.
And knowing Aaron, and I think I know him fairly well, if he has a grudge, whether it be against the organization or a player or an arch rival or family, friends, he ain't budging. I don't see him coming back and saying, if this is not resolved, however, whatever the issue is, if it's not resolved, or even if it's resolved, but he feels like they got one up on him, he ain't gonna play. Knowing Aaron, he would sit.
Everybody says they'll sit until the actual idea of would you sit late in your career when you have a potential Super Bowl team? And, oh, yeah, by the way, you got to pay back $44.5 million if you don't play. All of these things, it's like be very, very careful about who you draw a hard and fast stance, a line in the sand against. Be very careful of that. But look, all of this stuff is like the breakdown in any relationship, right? It's the breakdown in any relationship. When you've been in a relationship for 20 years, or 15 years or 10 years, you got, and if there's negative things that were buried that still bother you when the relationship is unraveling, now every little thing along the way becomes a bigger thing. But I'm going to tell you that this looks terrible for Aaron Rodgers, right? That you'd call the GM Jerry Krause. Now, look, if we're going to look at the full perspective of it, Jerry Krause built a couple of amazing teams in Chicago, but Jerry Krause was the butt of every single joke. And if Aaron Rodgers wants to come out looking like Michael Jordan, first, he's going to come up short in the championships. And second, remember, Jordan more respected than liked. There's a bunch of parts to this. I don't think, one of the reasons I don't believe the Jeopardy thing for 1 second, even though the ratings were down at the week after he hosted, is I like Aaron Rodgers during my time I've spent with him. I don't think that he has this extreme likability vibe. It's probably the reason I haven't gotten a call about being a game show host, is that when you feel like you're the honest one and the one who says it like it is, that to many people it's not honest, not likable. And when you're not likable, it's hard to get those jobs, because those jobs as hosts of Jeopardy, whatever, it's almost all about likability. Now, Alex Trebek was the first one in, so he's synonymous with it. So even if he came across as smug and knowing the answers, it's still Alex. He can get away with it. Whoever replaces him has to be just beloved, not just likable. And Rodgers probably isn't. He is not Steve Harvey. He's just not. He's not, who's the Price is Right guy now? Drew Carey. Those guys are comedians. Those guys have that likability gene. He doesn't have it. He's a great quarterback. He is funny. He is smart. He is a lot of things. Likable, it all depends upon your perspective of it. And when you and like, it's one of those things that plays to the audience. And I don't know who put it out there that he made fun of Jerry Krause on a group chat. That's a big group chat no. But it's one of the reasons you don't put things in text, right? It's a big group chat no. You don't, what happens in the group chat stays in the group chat. He didn't put it out on Twitter. He didn't put it out on IG. He put it in a group chat to his teammates. And I'm sure many of them found it to be funny and understood the reference. It, by the way, also points to no one would get the Jerry Krause reference if not for the docuseries that came out last year this time, right? No one, I remembered him, but no one who was on the Packers, who is younger than Aaron Rodgers, would know anything about Jerry Krause other than Googling it. If you use the Jerry Krause reference now, everybody in sports knows because they all watched the documentary. But all of this lashing out is just anger over the fact that that Rodgers can't really control what happens within this relationship for a year. He can't retire. He can't force him to be traded. It's not the right time for them to trade him. And by the way, they were knocking at the doorstep of the Super Bowl and they're probably better this year. Why would they trade him? So all of this stuff actually comes out as anger and frustration with the fact that there's been things that have bothered him about the relationship for years. There's an imbalance in the relationship with most quarterbacks. They all feel it. They all want to make decisions. They all want to, call the plays. They want to pick the groceries. They want to do everything and they want to make the most money doing it. And then if it doesn't work, they don't want to be blamed for it. Like that's what every quarterback wants. They don't want anybody behind them to show any sort of variance in leadership. These are the things they want. And the Packers are like, we hear you. We're not doing it. Doesn't matter what the text chat said. Doesn't matter what you request. Doesn't matter what Brett Favre says. We own your rights. You're under contract for 3 years. If you want to play football, show up at Lambeau Field at the said training date. We'll see you then. Otherwise, we have a $44 million outstanding bill for you to pay up on. So I look at this thing and I think, they're trying to do, Rodgers' camp is trying to do as much damage as possible to Green Bay within his power. Hey, I'm not going to be there after next year. He's making fun of the GM. He's asked to be traded. He said the GM has to go or he goes. He's doing everything he can to get himself out of Green Bay. It still won't work. It still won't work. And oh yeah, by the way, this was Adam Kaplan, of course, Fox Sports Radio's NFL insider, on Aaron Rodgers venting to opponents.
Aaron was miserable, I'm told, last season. How miserable? He went over to the defensive side of the football live in a game, okay? It was after a play was over during a timeout. And he went over to the opponent and said, get me out of here. But a Packer source told me, this is a great line. So I said, hey, he had those cryptic comments after the season's over. What do you think? Do you think you guys might trade him? He goes, are you trying to get us fired? I said, I'm just asking the question. He goes, okay, dude, what do you trade your best player who won the MVP? Are you out of your mind? We're not trading him. And then the GM went out and said that yesterday when he was asked. But this one, watch. In April, everybody talks tough.
Everybody talks tough. And then you got to show up for camp, and you're not willing to pay a fine. And if you retire, you got to pay back $44 million. If they were going to trade him, they would have done it before the NFL draft. Now they won't.